Lights on. Stage set, no rewind. New kings rise. Legends on decline. Season 34. It's NDL game day time. Yeah. Colorful, you can feel that charge. Crowd shakes when the field goes large. No wave coming home, legal watch. Every snap fire, no time for a loss. All of the lights, the showtime here. We waited all year just to make that clear. New blood rise at the old throne fall. It's game day now, we're taking it on. Season 34. All life. This is NDL game day.
What's going on, everybody? This is Lick. I'm here with Pat and Penguin today on NDL Game Day. We're in Season 34. We're coming up at the end of the season. This is the last week after Block 8, where everyone's allowed to kind of get, all the games and stuff in line this weekend. We'll have the simmed games for the games that are unplayed and everything. We have the Reveal number 2 that we'll be releasing today, and then obviously we got our conference championship games coming up. Some of those are already taking care of who is playing in there, and some aren't. Pat, I'm sure you're still reeling in from last night's Bears win. How was that?
Somewhere for the Panther game, and when things started not going well, I actually did my usual Irish exit, and I left because I was being a little pouty bitch. I'll be honest with you. And then things just escalated from there when I got home, and it was all good. What a game! The quarterback continues to just be a mystery in the first half, but I mean, dude, he made a throw last night that was unbelievable. The one on fourth down when he was rolling left is seriously like, and I was very excited. I was very hard on our front office about the Colston Woodland draft pick so early. I think they took him 10th overall in the draft, and boy, he was a man amongst boys last night. So yeah, it was good stuff.
Yeah, man, congrats on the big win last night in real life. And then talk about the NDL here. Our boy Penguin played in a big matchup last night. Pretty much across the board, we believe it was a play-in game in the playoff to where you don't leave anything in doubt. LSU over Oklahoma. Penguin, kind of take us through the end of that wild-ass game.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I definitely blown that with a poorly located throw to set him up with a chance to kick the go-ahead field goal. Just fought to give myself one more play and threw it up and prayed. And I mean, I gotta say, I do genuinely hurt a bit from work because that's a horrible way to lose just a moment like that. But man, it was nice to have one of those crazy moments go my way for a change. That's for sure. I mean, latter part of the season, Barry and Brown hasn't made a huge impact, so to get him in a spot like that, be able to take advantage of having a speed demon like that on the outside. I mean, speed kills in this game. It's the reason why LSU's been was mid as hell in real life, but in this game, they are still a just lethal squad.
Yeah, big game. Obviously, we got Pat playing in a conference championship game coming up as well, which will be the kind of the same scenario. Obviously, it's a playing game because the champion is automatically in. And we are talking about it kind of in our little production chat we have. It's just obviously we have several conference games that are coming up to where if a certain team doesn't win, it does create more questions for the CFP and how they view 3-loss teams versus 2-loss teams versus making your conference championship, not making your conference championship and stuff. And so we'll kind of go through that stuff and everything. But man, do you guys got anything before we jump into this or?
I would just say, thank God we're closing blocks now and simming some of these games and putting some pressure. Because to realize the amount of uncertainty we still have right now, how much more madness and then what an almost impossible job would it be for the playoff committee to give us something coherent at this point? I mean, their job's tough enough as it is. I can't imagine.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Getting these games closed and giving them a bunch of, I'm sure they had really good information and stuff presented. Obviously, Pat served on the committee and he served on it when they didn't have this. And so I'm sure when you were meeting and you had teams that only played one or two games, that affects kind of a tumble down effect on win-loss record, strength of schedule, stuff like that. Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll just kind of jump into this. I know that's what everyone is tuning in for. Now, again, this is number 2. There'll be one next weekend, which will be there'll be one before the conference championship games, I do believe, and then one after. Obviously, would be the final reveal. I think that's what 6 has scheduled for the CFP committee. And so we'll go ahead and jump right in. There is 20 rankings. The committee met last night and went through it. And so we'll go ahead and start with we'll just go with the top one. It's probably, I think, our top couple last week, there wasn't really any question. We have Ohio State Buckeyes, who do have a big game. I think it's going down tonight against Rutgers. Obviously, it has conference championship implications as well as CFP seeding, at least. Ohio State's probably in no matter what, but it could really shake things up if they were to win tonight, because then it really jumbles up who plays in that conference championship game. You guys probably don't have anything to add here because that was pretty much a consensus number 1 there.
Yeah, no doubt.
Your number 2 team is your Florida Gators, obviously right behind Ohio State, putting together a great season there in the SEC. Again, probably a consensus number 2 here, with Ohio State being a reigning champ in the NDL. Your number 3 team
Still
in the
got some
NDL.
games to play, but
Yep. Now in the NDL, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, Coach Rain putting together a great season, sitting at 12-0. Yeah, we go back to Florida. Florida does play Arkansas still. Oh no, they play in the conference championship game, I think, right? Penguin, you're in the SEC, isn't that who plays?
yeah, it's going to be Arkansas.
Yep. Which is obviously a playing game for Arkansas, most likely, I would assume, with 3 losses already. Notre Dame sitting at number 3. We have people in the chat, State and Notre Dame at number 3. What do you guys think about Notre Dame sitting at 3 right now?
Hard to put a 12-0 team not third or fourth. So, all that really matters is who they play in the next round. They should certainly be a 3 or a 4, in my opinion.
I mean, the committee could be bold and take a nod from what's happened in real life and put this Notre Dame kind of as maybe a first team out, which I think would be very interesting and I wouldn't oppose. But I mean, we'll see what happens.
It is interesting. I just kind of go through some of these team sheets for you guys. Notre Dame, obviously, we're starting to get into these questions on should they be 3, 4, or 5. The Notre Dame's right in the middle of the pack, strength of schedule-wise, 54 out of 136. They're 2-0 in quad 1 games, 3-0. Obviously, they're undefeated, 3-0. They played one top 10 matchup in the Massies, and that's going to be against Arkansas, which obviously they won the game at home. Other than that, that's their only ranked opponent. And here's something just to kind of think about is that they've played 3 teams over 500 on the whole season. 3 teams over 500. One of them was Arkansas at 9-3, Pittsburgh 7-5, and there's another team in here somewhere, USC 7-4. They played 2 teams that are going to go winless this season in the NDL, and Boston College went 0-10, Syracuse went 0-10. Just something to think about when we talk about schedules and stuff, because obviously you'd probably have some other teams and schools in there that could make some arguments on why they should be higher than Notre Dame.
With the way things have fallen, I'd say there is only one team who could have conceivably passed them, and they lost the other day. So I mean, I think there's no way that Notre Dame isn't 3.
Your number 4 team, the NDL CFP rank, is going to be your Alabama Crimson Tide. This is probably, for me, a team I'd see ahead of Notre Dame, just based upon the schedule and the opponents and the wins here. But what is your guys' thoughts with Alabama here?
Yeah, I think like you just said, I mean, maybe you could be the 3 and 4, but definitely deserving of a bye. And with the way the new playoff format is, would be we might have 2 teams getting byes that didn't win their conference championship game in Notre Dame and Alabama.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, Alabama's truly going to be a not that they couldn't have won the SEC championship game, but I mean they're definitely going to be a beneficiary of not having to play in it here because I can't imagine a scenario where they're any lower than 4 in the end.
Yeah, and the number 5 in the CFP rank, this is where things are going to start getting interesting. Your NDL CFP committee puts your LSU Tigers with a big win over Oklahoma at number 5. You got 2 SEC teams back to back, 4 and 5. What are your guys' thoughts?
Vastly overrated, but I mean, hey, it feels good to have a chance to get my ass kicked by a real contender, or maybe get a huge win, one of the two. Uh, I look forward to whoever it's going to be, and I'm thrilled for the opportunity.
Hey, I mean, the 2 losses, hardest schedule in the league according to Massey ratings. So,
Hey, when we scheduled this season, I wasn't going to leave anything to chance. I mean, I know I didn't go out and schedule, Ohio State and Clemson and stuff like that, but still, I wasn't looking at any. The only smaller school is we got the rivalry game with Tulane. But Tulane is they're not a scrub by any means, and getting Duke in Indiana. I mean, look at those Duke Blue Devils, won 10 games this season. We wanted to make sure we'd be battle tested, and I think Alabama can attest to that. We're pretty solid.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at your out of conference schedule, just to put it in context, Pat hit it already. Number 1 strength of schedule in the NDL is you play Duke, who has a shot at playing in the ACC championship game, and they're a borderline college football playoff team. You played Indiana, who's a ranked opponent, right? Finished 7 and 5 in the Big Ten, which many would consider probably the 1 or 2 best conference in the NDL. And then obviously your other game was Kansas State, who comes off a big win against Utah and sitting there at 8 and 4. So all 3 your out of conference scheduled games on here. Tulane's 5 and 5. That would be your 4th one. So 3 or 4 are all bowl eligible teams, all teams that are going to be ranked. And so I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't see any problem with you. I mean, this is probably one where you'd make the argument, hey, does LSU deserve to be ahead of Notre Dame? That's a way tougher schedule, right? Does
yeah,
Notre
but
Dame
2
does
losses
Be a chance to prove that. We'll see.
yeah,
2 losses is too many to put
yeah.
over.
And Notre Dame did beat Arkansas, and Arkansas did beat LSU. So
I definitely wouldn't mind a matchup with the Irish. I'll say that.
Wow.
number 6 team in your NDL college football playoff is your Utah Utes. Pat slipped a couple spots from last week with the loss to Kansas State. Still still plays in the conference championship game against BYU, if I'm not mistaken, right, Pat?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what
Playing BYU, played him earlier this year. Good player, runs the ball well. We did a pretty good job on his running back after the first drive. First drive, he marched right down and scored. I feel like this is probably the right place to be ranked. I would think the 11 and 1. It was the 1 loss being. I know you mentioned Kansas State earlier. I had told you guys in our chat that was a game I was dreading all year. He just runs the ball really well and happens to have a running. It's just really. And when you can run,
This is a demon.
yeah, when you can run the ball, it makes the way I play defense very difficult because I wait till someone picks the play like most people should, but to see what kind of formations they come out in, then I'll be aggressive in certain sets that I see, and I couldn't be aggressive against him because I just was worried he would run the ball, and he ended up running it really well in the second half, and he kind of kicked me in. The score wasn't even as close as it shows here, to be honest with you. So it was a rough game, but I think 6 is the right for our squad right now. Yeah.
Yeah, still an extra game to go as well. Next up is your 7th. The number 7 ranking is your Oregon Ducks sitting at 10 and 2. Oregon playing in the Big Ten, right behind Utah, 11 and 1. What are your guys' thoughts with Oregon being at 7?
Yeah. I think they're benefiting from others' misfortune to be that high, given their recent missteps. But they'll be in the playoffs. It looks like.
Yeah, I think he just beat USC today, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, so he'll be in. I think I had him like in my head 7 or 8. So yeah, this is right spot. Obviously a really good win over Rutgers. Really good win over Penn State. Both games, high scoring. But I mean, the loss to Minnesota is crazy. Like this is a 92 rated. It's an 88 overall team, but the offense and defense are rated 92 and 92. Like, how do you lose to Minnesota with Oregon? I don't understand. You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I
Both are
think they have
losses
one
are
or
head
two
scratchers.
disciplines in the game to like even score. Like, how do you not just score everything? Anyway, so that's why I would have him a little bit higher because the losses are so damning. But he does have some nice wins on there, especially if Rutgers beats Ohio State. That Rutgers Ohio State game, and it's a big deal.
So the, so this is where this is where I start having questions, right? And again, maybe needing more information and stuff in front of you. But you got Oregon who lost to Minnesota. Okay, as you say, Pat. I mean, out of the top 15 teams, this is probably one of the worst losses that anybody's incurred out of the teams vying for this college football playoff spot. Is going to be, other than Rutgers sim loss, which I'm just going to count it as a loss, is going to be worse. And it's because Minnesota's 7-5. They're going to be a bowl team, to whereas Ole Miss is. I mean, what are they, 500 right now? 5-5 or 6-6. But you got. I'm really interested to see where, if they have Wisconsin. And the reason I say that is Wisconsin beat Oregon. They beat Minnesota. Okay. And so they beat that common opponent, Minnesota, that Oregon lost. And so I'm really interested to see where Wisconsin is, right? They're 9-3. I know they have that extra loss. I know that. But I'm just wondering if Wisconsin gets in and doesn't, because Pat, you talked about it earlier, that loss to Wisconsin does look kind of bad, Wisconsin on the way out. And so this is one of those
Yeah,
teams where
but Oregon does have a win. You got to keep this one in mind too. They also have a win over Louisville, who actually has a chance to maybe win the ACC. So
Yeah.
they
yep,
have
that's
some
very
good
true.
wins. Oregon does. Yeah.
You look at the remaining path for Louisville, it's very conceivable that they could win out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and our website, and again, I don't know how this gets determined, but our website has Oregon's loss to Minnesota being a quad one loss, which is also very
What?
interesting. Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because obviously the team is good, and Shell's shown in the past that he can win playoff games in the NDL. I mean, he's a former champion in the NDL, but just recently he can win playoff games. And so, man, the last thing you want to do if you're one of those higher ranked seed teams is see him fall any lower. You'd rather have him be in that middle of the pack. But
Oregon definitely belongs in the playoff. Like when all this dust settles after conference, like they belong in the playoff. They're a playoff team. Don't get me
yep,
wrong. You can argue that the losses maybe they shouldn't be as high as a 7. I mean, I think they're pretty well represented. I mean, they have the 14th best offense in the league and the 21st best defense in the league. I mean, get up there, being real good. But I don't understand how losing to Minnesota is quad one.
I mean, I can't dispute anything you're saying about them, but I mean, I watched those both the Minnesota and the Wisconsin game, and there's nothing in those games that look like a playoff team there. So that's just very confusing to me as to what Oregon team are you going to get when it comes to the
Yeah,
postseason.
yeah, but I mean, he gets the post playoff game. I could very well see him winning a playoff game for sure.
That's very true.
Well,
and
Team
we
has to play.
we he's pretty much always proved us wrong, right, on the show. We if
That's
we are
true.
pushing for him and we're like, man, he's going to steamroll, then he ends up losing a game, or it's the opposite, right? Like no one ever picks him, and then he ends up running the table. Last year we were really hard on him, and he ends up going to the championship game, or close to. I think he lost in the semifinals.
no, I think he was in the championship.
He went to the championship game and he had a shot at it. Yep.
Yeah, and so really interesting.
I think he's in. I think he's in the right place now for
Number
sure.
Your number 8 team in the CFP is going to be your Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Obviously, right behind Oregon, who Oregon beat him, and so that would make sense to put him behind there. What are your guys' thoughts on Rutgers being 8 right now?
The only reason you can't, I would actually have them ahead of Oregon if they did not play this year, but they didn't, and that's basically when it would. Like, I think he's slotted where he needs to be.
That sim loss bothers the hell out of me. I it's a major problem for me, and I mean, I don't know how that affects the playoff committee or whatnot, but just to be honest, and at the risk of, sounding like a hater, it might cause me personally not to even put him on my list. I think that's a huge deal.
I mean, I think I'm hoping it takes care of itself, right? Like, obviously, he has a big game left against D. Kennedy in Ohio State, and to where, if he loses that game, he's going to be a 3-loss team. With you take all the 2 and 3-loss teams that aren't in. Again, remember I talked about that Ole Miss, and I'll actually stand corrected. Ole Miss is 4-5 right now. Out of all the top 15 teams, this is going to be the worst loss on the paper, right? This is going to be the worst loss, sim, not sim. The sim is even worse, I think, right? Like, I would rather
Yeah.
go out and lose a game that's played than to lose it's a sim game, I think. And so I mean, I'm with you there, Penguin. I would honestly look at putting a 3-loss team in over a team with 2 losses that took a sim loss. And it wasn't I mean, if you go back and look, it wasn't a crazy circumstance. This was just a game that neither coach tried to play. It would have been different if there was some extenuating circumstances and they had to flip a coin because they just couldn't get it to work. Neither team tried to play this game. And so,
Look,
Me.
the way I feel about it too, and this, I don't want to make the show go negative, but he shouldn't be eligible for the playoffs. He should not be eligible to play in the playoffs for the bullshit that he pulled last season. Like, he just shouldn't be eligible to play. That's the way I feel about it.
no, I mean, a very valid argument there.
You're going to quit in the middle of the year and then get a better team than half the league who's stuck around and drafted, and then we're going to let him in the playoffs. Like, it's just he should not be eligible. That's just my feeling. Right.
We'll move on to the number 9 team here. I'm with you, man. I agree with you, Pat. I think all 3 of us share the same opinion on that. And so, obviously, if I'm a CFP member, I'm definitely counting a sim loss worse than a normal loss. I mean, just because for the factor. But CFP number 9 ranked team. This is someone we were really high on at the beginning of the season. Is Coach Roke at Mississippi State. I think we agreed last week. We would love to see him in the CFP because I think this is one of those teams that could make some noise in the CFP. And so, where do you guys think? With him sitting at number 9, how do you guys feel about that?
It's about right. He belongs in with double-digit wins. I think it's harder to put him higher with his losses, but let's be completely honest, no one, no one, don't care how good, how confident they are, really wants to play this guy when it comes to the playoffs. We all know he's just a really he is one of the most solid coaches out there and has done it time and time again with crappy teams.
Yeah, I think he's accurately placed. Like, you guys, just piggybacking on what you're saying. I mean, he's always been good. He finally took a, better than average team this year, I guess. I mean, is Mississippi State, what are they, like an 82 overall in the toughest conference? And he went 10-2. I mean, he definitely, because he's not going to make a conference championship game. I think when the dust settles, he's like Oregon. He'll be in there regardless. He should be.
It's a psychological element too, because see if like okay, let's use Oregon as an example. If I match up with Oregon, I'm like, okay, it's a big challenge. I'm up for this game and whatnot. If I match up against Mississippi State, there's a whole additional element in there because I look at the team like, okay, I should beat this team. I keep telling myself. So you've got that added mental element that you got to deal with there too. That I think he kind of uses to his advantage.
Yeah, and I
I
mean,
think if the season ended right now, that would be a 10-7 matchup, right? Would he be playing Shell? That would be a good game.
yep.
By the way, Tim, I have some breaking news for you.
Okay, go ahead.
Ohio State and Rutgers are not playing now tonight.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. There's the bail.
I did
Play
say
later
that
this week.
one of those games would get played and one would not. I may have just been wrong about which one got played first, right?
I feel like maybe we've seen this movie before.
We'll see. Anyway, that's breaking news for you. Sorry.
Maybe they'll wait and they'll kick it off on like Friday afternoon, right when everyone gets off work. And yeah. So we'll go to the number 10 ranked team. This is where let's drop all the way down. Let's skip the 10. Or do you guys want to go from 20 up?
Go for it.
We're going 19 up. Okay, we're gonna go 19 up. Your number 19 ranked team is your Michigan Wolverines. Coach Sargent there. I think he's 9-3 up there in Michigan. Obviously, this is where you start to get into a ton of those 3 and 2 loss teams. I don't think there'd be any argument that he needs to be any higher here. But obviously, a top 20 team for the CFP sitting at 9-3. What are your guys' thoughts here?
Penguin?
It makes sense. They're one of those teams who, if they'd had one more big win, they're on the edge of the conversation. But I mean, yeah,
So they're 8-3, by the way. They're more than likely going to finish 8-4. They have to play Ohio State.
Ohio State. Yep, you're right. In the game.
Yeah.
Ohio State's got a couple big games left, right? Rutgers, Michigan.
Yeah. Definitely no pushover for sure.
I mean, I don't think any of us are going to bet money on it, but what wonderful madness would it be if Ohio State and Florida both lost their 2 remaining games?
Or just one of those games, right? You do start clouding up things. They with the one loss, like Pat talked about already. We already got a bunch of teams ranked in the top 4 or 5 that aren't going to play in conference championship games.
Mm-hmm.
Your number 18th ranked team is your Baylor Bears here in the Big 12. Obviously, Coach Pat had a chance to play jumper out there. Great offensive team. Probably, I'm a horrible defensive player in the game, but I would go out to venture and say that Jumper's one of the worst defensive coaches in the league, at least team-wise with Baylor. What are your guys' thoughts about him being in the top 20?
I'm going to be honest with you.
He's the dude, when he makes a creative player, all the points go into the offensive stats at all, and nothing goes into the defense. So he's going to, you know what? I'm scoring 100 points to beat you. I don't care if you score 90. I applaud that he's full in on that mindset, and he's committed to an identity.
But it's a hard schedule too. You got to give him credit for that. He always goes out and schedules. The Georgia win doesn't look great, unfortunately for him. What's Georgia going to finish, like 4-8? That doesn't look great. I mean, the user at the time was supposed to be top quality, and he went out and scheduled him. He scheduled Big Mike. And I feel like he had one other really hard
Florida State,
game.
Shoddy. I mean, he played Florida State and Shoddy.
There you go. Yeah, and I obviously DM'd you guys in the middle of my game with him because it was such a weird game. I was up by 35 points in the first quarter. So I don't, I think he was just, I DM'd him after the game. I was like, dude, is everything all good? And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, I thought guys were open and they weren't. So like, it's like a one-off. Like it's how we use, like some people say small sample size. It's just a one-off sample. Like he just had an off game. I mean, the dude threw 7 picks in the first half. Like that's not good. So like, it's the only game that I think of his. You know what I mean? So that's why I think it's weird to see him there.
Matchup wise, even you self-admitted with how you play, the way you play in philosophy fits in well to combating what he tries to do.
Right.
So,
yeah. And I told you guys that going into the game, but it still like didn't register. Remember though, I was like saying that even 35-point lead against him didn't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
He just scores so fast. Yeah, he picks plays quick and he can air it out. But yeah, I wouldn't put him in the top 20. I don't think. I'm not trying to be a hater, but I don't understand it. We'll see who else comes in the rankings.
I think this is where obviously you're really starting to micromanage because it really doesn't matter, right? These bottom teams don't matter if you're not a mid-major school. But this is where I'd probably start seeing 4 or 5 loss teams maybe jump them, right? Like, so Jumper lost, like Baylor lost to Indiana, sitting at 7-5, right? If you go look at Indiana's schedule, they play an extremely tough schedule, right? Now, we obviously know how good they are and everything. And so that's where you'd really start. Like, is a 3-loss team better than a 4 or 5-loss team when you're starting to look at some of these other teams and stuff? But again, not that big of a deal, really. Your number 17 ranked team here is your Michigan State Spartans, who's another game. I love Coach Metro D, but he's another one of those casualties. He had a game simmed against UCLA. Same type of scenario is obviously that kicks him right out of the picture, right? Because he was right up in there. He was up there for the conference championship. I think he still is like up there for the talk. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Sense good season, but he just came up short, unfortunately, in a couple key spots. But
Yeah, another sim loss, right? Another person with a sim loss. I believe he has a sim
To
loss to
UCLA.
UCLA. Yeah, UCLA's not having a great year. I think he's right where he should be. Not like probably making the playoffs, but just on the outside looking in.
This is one where I wouldn't have had a problem with bumping him out of the top 20 because of the sim loss. He's sitting at 3 losses to UCLA, which is, like you said, Coach T-Fan is having a really bad year. To where I wouldn't have mind seeing them drop out of the 20, and you could have moved a 4-loss team in there that played all their games, right? We'll jump into the 16th ranked team. Here's your Wisconsin Badgers. Coach RB having a good year there in Wisconsin. All you have to do is sit in the live chat and you'll know that. Coach RB having a great year up there in Wisconsin. Camp Randall, jump around. What are you guys' thoughts on the Badgers being in the top 20?
I think he's.
Oh, go ahead, Franklin. Sorry.
He's had the time to launch a whole new consulting business on the side to help other coaches out and have a successful season and be an Oregon.
Yeah.
It's been a great year for him. I hope that helps soothe the salve of the pain he experienced last night as a football fan.
Oh yeah, he was at the game.
Mhm.
Yeah. I've never seen someone try to talk about themselves so much to be a 16th overall rated team. Good season. Hey, you're on cloud 9 when you beat your team, like overall venue in games that you may not normally win, and so the guy's been floating on cloud 9 for what he beat Oregon 3 weeks ago, and good for him. I'm telling you, it makes a difference when you play with a team that you enjoy. And what'll be great is he has mentioned that he may jump in the draft and take a higher team. Between you guys and I and the show and the league, I don't think it would be wise. I think he should stay at Wisconsin. I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings, but I don't know if he's a top caliber guy who should be taking a top caliber team. I think he should stick with the team he's having fun with. I don't think he will have fun high rated team. You guys see how he melts down in the chat at a low rated team. Imagine when he has a high rated team.
Yeah.
It definitely hurts more when you lose with a good team than with a lesser team. That's for sure.
Well, I know it. So I'm almost certain that if Ohio State, when they play, if the Rutgers game happens, Ohio State wins out. Ohio State plays Wisconsin in the championship game. Nobody had RB playing in the Big Ten championship game on their freaking bingo card at the beginning of the year.
No way.
I mean, most people probably had RB at 500, right? Like,
yeah, he played Ohio State tough for a half when they played. Like,
Yep.
he was right there.
Yep.
He's playing great. Like I said, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but like once you get up to those high rated teams where you have to like make the CFP as a team goal, it can be not as fun.
Yep. Yeah, because if you lose early in the year a conference game, your back's up against the wall.
But yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, and it's funny we bring up the live chat, and I just thought it was funny because this is obviously we always say a story as old as time. There's several of them in the NDL, but one of them is man, the guys that go in the chat and talk about why they aren't ranked, how they should be ranked higher. We had 3 or 4 teams over the last 2 weeks go and do that in the chat, and what did they turn around and do their very next game as they turned around and lost? And so I always just find that amusing as it kind of just takes care of itself. But yeah, no problem with him being excited. It was a big win over Oregon. That's a good win to hang your hat on. Oregon's been one of the most consistent teams since we've been back, with Coach Shell being a proven CFP member. Your number 15 ranked team, yeah, and then we're just beating RB down as his Packers blew a big lead last night. Number 15 ranked team in the CFP, is your Duke Blue Devils, sitting at 10-2, two-loss team in the ACC. Coach Texano has been almost every season right around this 15-12 mark for the CFP. I think he's been the first team out once or twice already. And so, what are your thoughts with Duke sitting here?
I would actually have Duke behind Wisconsin, personally. If you look at their team sheets, they're really not comparable. Wisconsin, better record against the G1 and G2 teams, way harder strength of schedule, way better metrics wise defensively. Like it's not even close. I would flip flop Wisconsin and Duke. I don't understand the Duke love here.
I mean, he's a good team, good coach. His best win is at Minnesota, and he really doesn't have another one with the way things shook out this season. And getting beat up pretty bad in his losses definitely. I mean, it feels like I'm looking at how I was with Iowa State a couple seasons ago, where you got a good record, but unfortunately you got kind of bent over by the best teams on your schedule and didn't have a win to hang your hat on.
Yeah, and I think that Clemson loss, obviously, it hurt him. Not him losing to Clemson, but Clemson losing to Louisville hurt Duke a little bit because obviously I think we went over scenarios. I'm not sure who's in charge of the ACC. I don't know if they're in the chat, but I think I've read that if Louisville wins out, Virginia Tech potentially plays Clemson in the championship game. I think I read something like that. Obviously, if Duke's shot, I think, is going to be to play in that conference championship game and obviously needs to try to win it. But man, what a
What's crazy
fall.
about Clemson? What's crazy about Clemson losing is you would have normally Clemson had lost, right? Their conference championship game with one loss. We'd be thinking of them in now, like their conference championship game means a hell of a lot more because if Clemson loses,
Yep.
he's obviously out because we just did the top 10, right? And he's not
Yep.
even in it.
Mhm.
So I mean,
Yep.
that's actually probably one of the more surprising losses on the entire season, and it kind of went on not unnoticed because it got announced. But like, when did they play? I didn't get to see it. I don't even know when they played. Was it
So
last night?
Wasn't
they
just a couple
played it.
days ago.
It was a couple days ago, yeah, when Slovene got back in town from his trip, and they played. And I mean, we talk about Clemson, and I know Bucknut was at Texas A&M, but we talk about it all the time. And Pat, you've brought it up, is the committee doesn't look at the coach; they look at the team. And so when you look at it on paper, that Texas A&M loss for Clemson looks horrible.
Yeah,
Texas
that's
A&M's
right.
3-8, right? And so we're
Yeah,
not supposed to look at the coaches. We're not supposed to look at that stuff. But they're 3-8. Texas A&M is, and so you hit it right on the button. What a fall from grace the ACC took this year, though, right? Last year,
yeah.
5 teams constantly were in the top 15 in the polls and the CFP. They loved them at the back end of the CFP last year, and then this year, I mean, you talked about it, Pat. Is the ACC championship game is a playoff game. The winner is in the CFP, and I can't see a world where you're going to take the loser and put them in too, because you're going to have probably a 2 or 3 loss team in the ACC.
You nailed it. The ACC is the championship game. They just start their playoffs a week early. I mean, winning in
Yep.
and lose, you're out.
Yeah, and I think Slovene said that if Louisville doesn't win out, then it's a crapshoot, but it may even be Clemson Duke. I know Virginia Tech was in some scenario to potentially playing it because Chase was talking about it. Maybe if Louisville wins out, it's VT Louisville. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I know there's still lots of football obviously left to be played. But man, exciting to be able to have a conference championship game that actually means something, right? We talk about it all the time where we wouldn't mind getting rid of these stupid conference championship games.
Yeah.
So your 14th ranked team is your Texas Longhorns, obviously coming off a pretty probably upsetting loss for CG when they played Arkansas, kind of a playing game for Texas, right? He wins that game. That's a big win on his resume to probably boost him up into that 9-8 spot, right? I mean, if he'd have beat Arkansas, I probably would have put him up there in the 7-8 spot with only 2 losses, several big wins. But man, what about Texas sitting at 14?
Think it's about spot on. I think they're destined to be the first or second team out when all the dust settles.
Yeah, they'll be the second or third team out, like Penguin said. I think they lost the 2 most important games on their year, which was Oklahoma needed to win that one for rivalry points, keeping the team, whatever. Harkins, who I believe counts for rivalry points against Texas. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not.
Think so.
But regardless, he went 0-2 in those games. And when you go 0-2 in your two biggest games of the year, I don't think you belong in the playoffs. It's just, I think also, I'm pretty sure Texas does have the easiest rated schedule from all SEC teams. So they've got like the most favorable draws in the conference. And when you go 9-3, you're just not going to make the playoff. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and all
It's
three of
tough.
his losses were to his tough teams that he played in the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, look at
Yep.
his opponent record. It's 55-74, under 500. Way under 500.
I think this is a good example of why, because obviously it's always the discussion with the way that the CFP is like, and you like the real life talk was, hey, remember the Texas Ohio State game is like, we're not going to schedule tough games anymore then because it hurts us. Is like, this is a good example, hopefully, where people do keep scheduling good games out of conference, at least one. Because if Texas would have challenged themselves out of conference against somebody, this is where it could have propelled them potentially because there's going to be a 3-loss team in this year. And so
You think so?
I think that there may be a 3-loss team in just with how the conference championships may play out. Is that you potentially may have a 3-loss team sliding in at that 11 spot. And I really hope the committee looks at the out of conference scheduling when they do that, right? Because if you're going to challenge yourself out of conference and win against a good team, that should be a pretty good deciding factor when you're comparing teams. And if I took a 3-loss Texas team like you talked about, Pat, all three of their losses against the top three opponents they played, and their only good opponents they played in the SEC record wise. And then their non-conference games were Wake Forest, Northern Illinois, Northwestern, and at UTSA. They played all four of those games on the road, and I'm sure it was to get those extra points. But obviously not really challenging themselves. So
Yeah, 0-3 against top 10 Massey teams, 1-3 against ranked teams. Yeah, just not good enough, to make the play.
yep, I would put Wisconsin probably over Texas. It sounds silly, but he has a way better win. Wisconsin does, right? Wisconsin's got win over Oregon. Oregon is better than Duke and Texas. I mean, when you're really looking at it. So next, we'll go with the 13th ranked team here. 13th ranked team is Penn State Nittany Lions, sitting at 13. Coach Smitty, no stranger to our CFP. What are your guys' thoughts here? I mean, he thinks he should be like 4 if you ask him.
I got to be honest. He could maybe be behind Wisconsin. I don't. He has no good wins. Like he has not beat anyone. I don't know why he's. Last night he was like on his high horse that he's some great player, and I'm like, dude, you don't have it like right now. He's am I crazy to think that? Like he's just I don't know. Like
I mean, this is another team that's, as we mentioned before, you're looking at the team, not the coach. Well, with what happened, that Georgia win, he was on cloud 9 week 1 with that opening week victory. And that looked like it would be a landmark win for sure. But I mean, since then, he beat Michigan State and the 3 other big games there. He was in all of them. I mean, that heartbreaker versus Ohio State, and then to come up short versus Rutgers, and then the Oregon game. I mean, you can argue he's 3 plays away from being the number 1 ranked team in the nation, but he's not, unfortunately. So I mean, I get a hard time seeing the scenario to justify him being higher than this at the moment.
he's 2-3 against ranked teams. Like it's just not good enough.
Yeah, this is. I mean, this is one I'd probably have right at. I'd have it. I'd move other things around below these guys, but I'd probably put them right around 17. Right ahead of Michigan State, right? I already said I'd probably have Michigan State out because of that sim loss. They're big, like you guys hit it. I mean, you guys hit all the talking points. Their biggest wins are Michigan State and Indiana, right? Indiana's 7-5 in their own conference. Out of conference, that Georgia game was awesome, but again, we talk about teams, not coaches, and on paper, that Georgia win is not good at all. And so I don't see I mean, he's 0-2 against top 10 teams. I really just don't see how you would there. I just don't see any argument that you could put from a resume standpoint where they could be in there for the 3-loss team that would be in, right? That would be in. So
Georgia thing, where you like he keeps bringing it up that it was like a good win. Georgia, Jose won 0 games at Georgia, so like
that's
no,
true.
it
And
isn't
got
straight
pregnant.
of a win.
Yeah.
He won no games at Georgia.
Finished his NDL career on a 3-game losing streak.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
So
true.
don't like sit here and be like, oh well, the committee's done for telling the Georgia win. Oh, you beat a team that 0 wins. Nice work. Like, get over yourself, dude. Drop the ego and start playing better.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I mean, this is probably the biggest shocker to me so far is Penn State this high. I wouldn't have put him this high. And it's just more of just the product on the field and stuff. Obviously, if we went off of a coaching resume with coaches, he would get some bonus points because of his past, right? I mean, he's a consistent college football playoff, but I mean, this year
But
alone.
you gotta think that it's in here on some level, whether we say it's or not. It's there.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah, and some people have brought it up in the chat already, and I think it's because they're kind of on the same page as why is Penn State so high. Okay, so we're going to go number 12 team. So obviously, I'll throw it up there, and then you'll know. Number 12 team here is your Clemson Tigers ACC. We've hit on them, sitting at 9-2 with a game left here. What are your guys' thoughts? I mean, no, I definitely did not have them losing an ACC game the way they lost it. I don't know if any of you guys know, but he's won like 5 million ACC games in a row. What are your guys' thoughts with him at 12? That would put him, just so you guys know, as long as there's not a mid-major at 11 or 10, that would put him outside of the college football playoff other than winning the conference champion.
His loss was very surprising. He's going to win his conference championship game to get in. It's as simple as that. And if he lost that conference championship game, would Clemson be available to draft? Because that team is loaded on the D line.
I'm sure he's got 5 bank points.
True.
But who knows if he's done all his stuff? I mean, if you don't do all your stuff, you could lose those bank points pretty quick.
Yeah, and I know he's won his rivalry games, and obviously going to the. I'm sure the CFP playoffs is one of 2 goals, but yeah, just interesting. He's just he's an interesting coach. Every year, like he makes the dance, has a great team, and just can never quite get over the hump, as you say.
Yep.
Like just always quarterfinals, semifinals, something.
Yeah, I'm stunned they dropped him this far. I mean, I knew he already had that 1 loss, but I mean, yeah, because I mean the message seems to be clear from the committee that, as we said, as you guys already pointed out, he has to win the ACC to get in now. Because I mean, with the loss, as they've shown with precedent time and time again, it's there is no grace given for saying, well, you made the conference championship game, so that counts for something. That obviously will not help him in this case. So
That fired up
wild to
Chip.
see that the ACC could very well put
Yep.
one team in.
Yep. Yeah, and it not be Clemson, right? That wouldn't think that, right? Clemson fired up Chip brought it up in the chat. Coach hasn't won a playoff game, but I think he's been in all of our playoffs, at least that I can remember.
2 years he was Temple one, when he first
at the beginning,
or whatever, and
okay,
then he was Kentucky one year, and didn't make the CFP, but he was really good.
When he was Temple, though, wasn't he a borderline team? Because then he win 11 games or 12 games or something.
Yeah, I think he was one of the. Yeah, he was close. That's before we had a committee and shit like that.
Yep. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so your 11th ranked team, and so obviously we know that there's not going to be another ACC team above Clemson. So what that does for anybody that doesn't fully understand the way that it works is that one of the teams, either Duke, Clemson, an ACC team is going to be in because they'll be one of the highest ranked conference champs. And so that will mean that this next team would be out barring it being a mid-major school. So your number 11 team is the Oklahoma Sooners, sitting at 9-3, obviously coming off a big loss to Coach Penguin here at LSU. What are your guys' thoughts about them being potentially the first team out here?
I gotta look at that Tennessee game, and that's where they unexplicably got their butts kicked by a resurgent Vegas led squad that is going to tell the tale in the end. I feel, I mean, like, not trying to make everything about me or whatnot, but I mean, it feels just like the effect of my game at Iowa State versus Duke last season, where the wheels fell off and we got, absolutely sodomized, and that ended up, I think, cutting the legs out of any other argument, and yeah, that's what we got here.
Yeah, I mean the three losses. Had a hell of a season.
Two losses on the last play.
Yeah, yeah, to good coaches with good teams. It's a tough way to go down. I'm curious. Yeah, I just don't. Would he be? So is that basically us saying that he would be the first 3-loss team considered to make it? Right? Like, or we haven't revealed number 10 yet, have we?
Yeah, we still have number 10.
No.
I'm curious to see who that is.
The interesting part about Oklahoma, and we talked about it, you just did, Penguin, is that he has a really bad loss to Tennessee. Losing to Tennessee is not a bad loss. Anybody that's watched Coach Vegas play the last 2 weeks has been the old Coach Vegas, right? He's a little more attentive. You can watch his games. You can tell he's more engaged in the game, and he's had some very good games, right? And so losing to him isn't, but it's how you lost to him, right? 35-7.
Yeah.
An absolute blank of a game. You already talked about a Penguins' other 2 losses are within a score, right? Loses to Alabama and then loses to LSU. His strength of schedule is just okay. I think obviously the biggest factor here is he beat Texas, right? So they've got to put him ahead of Texas with the same amount of losses. You can't put him behind Texas because then you look dumb like the committee did in real life with the whole Miami Notre Dame thing. And so this is really interesting. Obviously, I think it'll hopefully all work out, but this could really cause some chaos depending on what happens in the ACC for that first and second team out. But your number 10 ranked team here is going to be, so this will be the first team in per se, if it's not a mid-major, is going to be the Arkansas Razorbacks. So we know stuff's going to change, right? 9-3. They have a big game coming up in the SEC championship game, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or do they play at the end of the season? No, it's the SEC championship game. SEC championship game against Coach Jiggy in Florida. I'm going to guess that game is going to be played in Florida because there's no neutral field. And so I would assume, I can only assume, I'm not on the committee. I could only assume that if Arkansas they've got to win to make it, right? You're not going to probably put in a 4-loss team. And so based upon these rankings, Oklahoma would probably be in if Arkansas loses. Right? So we're going to go down.
You
go
could
ahead.
make that argument, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, there's no other movement to really happen there, is there?
No.
Now, I have a question for you guys. Real
Yep.
talk. Okay? Because we talk about these conference championship games, if Arkansas loses to basically the best player in our league, that's what most people would agree on. Why does it hurt him?
Hey,
it's almost unfair.
Yeah, no, I said that. I said if Arkansas, I told Penguin that actually right before you hopped on, as I said, man, Penguin, it sucks for Devin because if Arkansas and it's a tiebreaker that they got in there. If Arkansas didn't play in his conference championship game, he'd be in. He has a great resume. If you go look at any team with more than one loss or more, he has one of the best resumes in the entire NDL. If you do the blind resume, he challenged himself out of conference. He did well against teams. He beat good teams. And he's going to end up the conference championship games.
the conference championship game and Oklahoma jumped him, that feels criminal to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I don't know. What do you think, Penguin? I mean, don't you think that's kind of criminal?
It's man, I don't know. I'd have to dive deep into the numbers there. I think you got a really strong case if we're talking like an epic battle of a game in the SEC championship game to keep him in spot position there. If Oklahoma hadn't gotten beat badly by Tennessee, I feel less bad about it. But given how bad that loss was, I gotta think that definitely strengthens the case to not drop Arkansas at all. Then I mean, because and the question is there, given that loss by Oklahoma, is that prevent the committee from thinking about moving them at all? If let's say in a scenario like that, Arkansas loses decisively in the SEC championship game, is Oklahoma the team that then gets in, or do they look farther? Because if you look farther down the list, it becomes Penn State by what we've seen so far. Is that a realistic possibility?
I mean,
It's
so
just tough, man, because
yeah.
all of Arkansas's losses are to teams that are ranked in our college football playoff right now.
Mhm.
Like they're all teams that are going to make it, you know?
Yep.
Whereas like
And more importantly,
Oklahoma's
they've
loss
got
to
yeah.
Tennessee is damning. Like you guys said, 35-7 to an unranked team.
Mhm.
Yep, and he has a win. He has a win against a team that's going to make the CFP and LSU. He has.
Yeah.
You talk about like let's just so if I go down the list and you have like Penn State, you have Clemson. Clemson lost to Texas A&M. Again, don't care about the coaches, right? Lost to Texas A&M. Arkansas beat Texas A&M. So if you go down to Penn State, his biggest win is Michigan State. Well, Arkansas beat Michigan State. So if Penn State plays Ohio State in the national championship game, what's probably going to happen in that game again? They're going to lose, right? They're going to have 4 losses, and so I mean, I'm with you, Pat. I would have zero problem if everything played out how it's supposed to, and all the conference championship games played out how they're supposed to. Is I'd have no problem putting a 4-loss Arkansas team in as the last team in over, like you talked about, Penguin, Oklahoma, Texas, who they beat, right? Arkansas beat Texas, and then Clemson. And then Penn State. I'd have no problem with that.
I would certainly understand it.
Yep. And so obviously,
when you have a team that with 4 losses, though, now you're talking about a team that
How
lost
crazy
33%
would it
of its
be if
players.
we
yeah.
How crazy would it be if we go from the whole case of like, well, is it possible for a 3-loss team to get in, and instead we jump
we let
straight to a 4-loss
we let a
team?
4-loss team in,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Man, really interesting. Though, obviously, lots of football. And so here's the thing, too, is that I can't imagine we talk about style points and how you win and how you lose. I can't imagine that how Devin plays against Jiggy could be a very large, right? If he goes in that conference championship games and gets 35, it's probably over, right? Lights out. But man, if it's a competitive game,
And
comes
just
down
to
to the
note
very last
there,
play, you never know, right?
yeah, and just to note there, Arkansas is 6-0 at home and 3-3 on the road this season,
Yeah, playing in the
and
swamp
that's
and
going to be a
and
road game.
against one of the best
Yeah,
coaches in the NDL.
Hey,
So
having played a game there this year, that's rough.
yeah, so let's jump into it. I know everybody in the chat is ready to see what mid majors being ranked at number 20. So that's why the CFP did a ranking all the way to 20 is because they did actually this mid major school was actually ranked number 20. They didn't just put them at 20. So this would be the 12 team in, right? Because we would slide the ACC champ up once, or like, so the ACC champ would go to 11, and then this school would go into 12, the 12th spot. So this one is your Central Michigan Chippewas coach, Coach Chip over there. Probably one of our favorite players to watch play a game. If you don't have a chance to listen to him while he plays his games, he does a great commentary. He'll rap for you. He's wonderful in the chat. Pat talks about all the time about being distracted in the live chat. You want to talk about somebody that's able to play their football game and not be distracted, as Chip will engage with everybody that's typing to him. He'll sing. He'll visit. It's a lot of fun. And so, but we'll get down to the paper side of it. Me and Penguin were
My
kind of talking
favorite
about
person,
this.
and if I had to vote, by the way, on who my favorite NDLer was, it's Chip, easily. He is the best. It seriously, like Tim said, if you guys ever get a chance to listen to his live stream, it is hilarious. When he played Andy, I don't know if you guys saw this. He has something saved on the PlayStation, the game that plays the national anthem. He literally sang the national anthem and put his right hand over his heart
Yep.
before the game started against Andy. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And he sang it word for word.
And he's a he's genuinely just really nice to everybody. If you ever
Really
see him
nice.
in the chat and stuff like that, wonderful guy. But man, I want to ask you guys, Pat, resume wise, do you think that they have? Let's say if we were to speculate on ECU, Fresno, Central Michigan, I'm just going to say Liberty because those are the big major schools that are in it. I don't think the Sun Belt's in it. All win out. Do you think Central Michigan has the best resume of the mid-major?
You know what's interesting about his resume, quote unquote, Penguin hates this stuff, but he has, when you get down to this stuff, he has the better loss, as you would say, because he played Michigan close, who was in our top 20 here, and he played Michigan State close, who was also in our top 20 here. And he lost both of those games. But I mean, he's running around with Central Michigan. You know, you're not supposed to win those games. There's a reason why it's a +1 for his opponent on his coaching contract. And then he's 8-0 in conference. He's 70. His opponent record is 70-59 overall. So I mean, the guy like has played a tough schedule, and he lost to Michigan State by 2 at Michigan State, and he lost at Michigan by 11, and that was a late touchdown by Michigan. Like it was a tight game. So I mean, look, dude, the guy's offense is rated 66 overall. Like, and he's only losing to those guys by a couple points. I mean, I think he's the guy right now, but he does have to win that championship game.
Yeah. What about you, Penguin?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get the case being made. Definitely, my stomach turns with the insinuation of quality losses. But I mean, I get when you're talking about mid majors, these come into play. I mean, that would be kind of part of the case made for Liberty, having lost by 10 to Clemson at Clemson, might I add as well. In the end, though, I gotta feel like if we're looking at this like a race, I gotta feel like East Carolina, with the way stuff has fallen, is set up to have a chance to slingshot around though, because they have a chance in their conference championship game to perhaps get a win that's as good, if not better, than any of the rest of these mid majors have. Because I mean, Central Michigan, you can say they took out Buffalo. Well, if they beat Buffalo again, are you really going to tell me that's a good win? Because who's Buffalo beat? You know,
Yeah,
we're at the same time. So
go ahead and look at the strength of schedule on ECU compared to Central Michigan, though. Like it's seriously night and day.
But
yeah,
Pat, I mean, he played Michigan and Michigan State, which is going to greatly boost his strength of schedule, but he did lose both games.
yeah,
Right.
you got strength of schedule being boosted by games you lose is always kind of weird to me. I mean, sure, it matters you played better teams, but if you didn't beat them, so what in the
For
end?
sure, for sure. Yeah, and like I said, one of them was close. Well, they were both kind of close, but I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying. But
Mhm.
you think when you think if ECU wins out and wins the AAC, you think they'll leapfrog?
I think they have a good shot. I can't speak for the committee. Obviously, I don't know how those conversations have been, if this thing's even close, or if they are fully on saying that ECU is well behind right now.
Mhm.
But I mean, when it comes down to it, if you want to talk about as far as losses hurting you, their loss to Temple, it's not good, but it's also not bad. So, and you're talking one loss versus two losses, and I would argue that a win in the conference championship game. Let's assume, I don't know for a fact it's going to be South Florida, but if they beat South Florida, who is a 9-win team that should be on the fringe of people's rankings. I would argue that's a better win than beating Buffalo at this point. So
Yeah.
I think they've got a
think
real
that
chance to be the
I
team.
think the AAC is a little bit deeper than the MAC too. I think.
Oh shoot, yeah.
And so
Memphis, Temple.
we talk about the Buffalo, we talk about Andy and Buffalo, and I don't think that does Chip any favors, even though he only has one loss. And Buffalo boasts he has a horrible strength of schedule. When you talk about strength of schedule, his
Yeah.
strength of schedule is really bad. Buffalo is. And so I think the AAC is figured out. I think the conference commissioner said it would go to the CFP is going to be decide the tiebreaker based upon the three teams. And so I think that would be, if that's correct, I think that would be South Florida against East Carolina. And so I think you would, South Florida is obviously a pretty good team with Coach Jordan there. He's won 9 in a row. Pirate Flag's won 9 in a row. Just real quick with the Liberty thing, bringing up Liberty, I think Liberty was out when Clemson lost another game. I think that hurt him in his case, even though he lost 10 at Clemson. I know but I think that kind of hurt him because his conference opponent, I think he only played 2 people over 500 all year, Liberty. It was like Clemson and another team in his conference. And then obviously Fresno, I think Coach Tuddy's put together a wonderful season there. He just kind of was the product of like Boise losing an in-conference matchup, not
That
to
hurts a
him,
lot.
right? Because if Boise comes in at 9-3 and Fresno's 9-1 and Fresno takes care of business against Boise, he may have a potential argument, but with Boise losing that in-conference game, I think that hurts him. And so I think it's going to be really interesting. I'd love to see how the committee we had, I think it was Drew on here last year, and he talked about how they rank the mid-majors. And so it'd be really interesting to see if there's if like South Florida was ranked on the mid-major list of top 5, right? Because if Buffalo's ranked out of the top 5 or however they rank their teams, because then it potentially come down to those conference championship games. And so, I mean, I think it'll be really interesting. I've got to imagine it's got to be fairly close between East Carolina and Central Michigan, I think.
Yeah.
Pretty close, and we've got some important games coming up. Every Louisville game is going to be important, which is nice this last week. And
let's shout out Drew a second too for throwing some chaos himself into the American Athletic Conference there with a big win at Temple to kind of basically knock them out of the ways there. How about that?
Yeah. No offense to my guy Hughes, he's a great dude, but once again, like putting stuff in the live chat, like, hey, I already ran the numbers. If we're going to play in the conference championship, if you do this, it's like, bro, just focus on your opponent.
Yeah. Drew went full Jordan meme there, and I took that personally.
Oh,
Yeah,
man, that was a great game too. I was watching that game. It was exciting. Man, I want some chaos though. I've always been about the chaos. I want, obviously, I'm dealing with 2 CFP members here on my show with Pat and Penguin, so I don't want them to obviously lose. But I love chaos. I like making. I can't. This is probably. I would probably say this has got to be one of the tougher CFP committees meeting wise, just with all those 2 and 3 loss teams kind of in the middle, and then the Clemson loss doesn't help, right? To where, heck, Pat, when you talked about it, everything just kind of lined up and fell into kind of how it should be for the season.
Man, if you want to see chaos, and it can totally happen. If BYU beats me, I don't even know what the hell is going to happen, because I still personally, like, bias, obviously, feel like I belong. It's a conference championship game loss. I told you guys earlier, I'm kind of like real life Texas Tech this year. Like, didn't play the toughest schedule in the world, but went 11-1. And even if Texas Tech had lost BYU in real life, they were going to make the CFP. But what happens is now you might have 2 G5 teams in. Like, if BYU,
That's what I was just gonna say. How do you feel about that, Pat? If you losing causes something which I know you love so much, which is not just 1 but 2 G5 teams in the playoffs, how would you feel to be the cause of that?
But I hope the 5 and 6 seed fucking DM me and thank me, because they'll get to play a G5 team instead of a P4 team. So yeah, you're welcome. But hopefully we just take care of business. But I mean, anything can happen, man. It's why we play these games, and it's a video game. And Hein is a great player, and it could totally happen. And so I know Tim wants to see the chaos. I don't.
Hey, I didn't want to say it, but well, I mean, we do talk about it, and we're honest with Pat. Both Penguin and I are honest with him, and we're like, man, it would be really interesting because then you start really bringing up the out of conference matchups, like and then the strength of conference, right? Like we don't talk about that enough. Is like, sure, a team may go 10-2, and then go 6-1 or something in conference, however many conference games, but then you like compare the ACC, let's just say, in the Big 12, or the Big 12 against the Big 10, the SEC versus the Big 12. You start comparing these conferences as like, who are the better teams? And I don't have an answer for that because there's just so much data and stuff goes into that. But I mean, I'm with Pat. I think you would be in, Pat. If you were to lose, I think you would be in. But then it would make the argument for the Arkansas thing kind of a moot point. If Arkansas loses to Florida, I don't think a 4-loss team would have an argument over a team that played in their conference championship with only 2 losses. Right? That's a lot
I've got
different.
it figured to where if Arkansas somehow beats Jiggy and I lose, I would be out.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
It would be out. So these things can all happen. Clemson was the other one I was worried about because I was thinking if I lost the conference championship game and Clemson lost his conference championship game, would they put him over
Over
myself?
you.
Now, obviously now with his loss to Louisville, that's like you like to say,
Yep.
it's moot point, but we'll call it a mute point, Tim, just for you. But yeah, it's definitely the most. You know what's funny though? I said this in the live chat. Are all this hubbub over teams, 3 through 12? Is anyone good enough to beat Ohio State or Florida right now? I don't think so.
Yeah, man. I don't.
What do you guys think?
Do you know what, Pat? Normally I say no all the time, right? I'm just like, no one's beating Jiggy, and then obviously D Candidy's
Yeah.
now one of the. He's obviously put himself up there, but man, I watched Mort and Penguin play the other night, and sometimes we forget that, and I'm not even going to say it's EA, right? Because we can say that, oh, there's animations, it should have been blocked, but man, you guys have watched real NFL football this weekend, right? We had 3 playoff games back to back to back come down to the last drive, like under a minute to go, right? A team wins. Shit happens, right? Chaos happens. You keep the game close, you never know what can happen. You're a kick return away from winning a game, right? I mean, it's realistic as that. You're 5 seconds away. You're a bad clock management away from losing a game. And so I really just don't know, Pat. I think that there's 4 or 5 coaches in the NDL every season that are like that. They're 1 or 2 plays away from beating Coach Jiggy, D Candidate. And so, man, I don't know.
Look at how the Natty ended. Look at how Oregon and Ohio State ended. Look at how
Yeah.
my game ended. If you watch the end of my game versus Jiggy earlier this season, I was right there on came up short on a 4th down, had a chance. So I mean, it's chaos. There's a lot that could happen. Now, granted, only a fool wouldn't have Jiggy and D Kennedy as the favorites. That's for sure, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes I feel like we're all playing for third place, but hey, I don't know. Maybe I look. This isn't my call to the committee. Like, regardless of what happens in my conference championship game, Evans would have a chance. You know what I mean? It's nice.
Yeah.
It's a nice place to be. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so here's what do you guys think about the 2 teams playing in real life college football championship are both going to be available in next year's draft? Miami and Indiana.
No. Indiana, I believe, Mike talked about it a lot, and I've scrimmed Mike twice when he's had Indiana, and he definitely has his challenges that he talks about. It's crazy how much those badges and things really do matter because Indiana's team, for some reason, is not very good in this game. They're slow. It's weird. And Miami, I think, is a team that, in the right hands, could do a lot of damage in our league.
Yep.
I want to
And
I think
And
it's a little testament to how bad a job that EA does rating the actual good teams in this game. Because, I mean, Indiana may be about to complete a season where they're considered one of the best teams to ever do it. Yet, let's be honest, there's probably easily 10 other teams you'd rather use than Indiana in this game easily.
yeah, and
Yeah, and it's bizarre because they just like they don't have any speed. Like the team, like there's
Mm.
it's just a slow team. It's really
and
slow. Definitely doesn't play like whatever their BS overall is. That's for sure.
I do think I'm with you, Pat. I think Miami's obviously a really great team in the game. I think they're a good team in the game. I think one of their biggest, like coaching points to get there though is going to be you get to play in the ACC, right? We talk about how it's down this year, so that'll be a big when the draft comes. I'm sure someone's going to look at that team and be like, man, I get to play in the ACC where it's just been fairly dominated by one coach who's kind of had a down year, right? And finally lost his first ACC game. And so, man,
I
it'll
don't
be
think
really
they
interesting.
play. Clemson and Miami don't play.
Yep, they don't.
Not every year, that's for sure. Yep.
Now, Pat.
So Miami's got the tough rivals though. It's got Florida, right?
Yep,
And that would be a tough draw this year. And then it also has Florida State, which in the right hands can be a problem as well.
yep.
That's probably going to count as a cupcake in next year's game, I think, the way things are looking.
Now, Penguin, you've been asked a question by the chat. Fired Up Chip wants to know why you threw the ball on second down with 2 minutes left to go in the game.
Great question, Chip.
Why? Because I was I was playing to win, not playing not to lose. I was looking to be aggressive, looking for a first down. Was the play call one that I stand by? No, I can see that probably wasn't the best. But the idea of still throwing the ball, yeah, I was still probably going to throw the ball. Plus, also, I mean, that Oklahoma D line is serious, and Chip uses them pretty well. I had minimal success running the ball at that time, and I was not going to settle to kick a field goal in that situation. There, I was going trying to score a touchdown.
And Chip, just so you know, Pat asked him the exact same question right after the game was done.
He did. It's valid. I have burned myself in the past by in a spot like that deciding, okay, I'm going to burn a clock, take their timeouts, and accept a field goal. I was playing to win.
I
Did I
turned the
screw up?
game off.
Yes.
I didn't even see the
Yeah.
ending. I just saw it in the live chat, and I was like, "Wait, he won?" Because I was like, "Why didn't this guy?" Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Well, yeah. So next week we got the CFP next weekend. Don't forget the games close on Friday night, right? Penguin, you're on the admin team. I think Friday night's the calendar night for the regular season.
Play your damn games. Don't get them simmed.
We got a
Play
special
'em.
guest on the show.
Yes, this is Pismo, by the way. He's never been on air. He's always in the background, but he is super needy tonight because he hates the Niners, and they just took the lead. So he's not
Yep.
happy.
Oh,
Yeah.
gross.
Yep. 2 minutes, 54 seconds left in that game. So they man, we got several big games left that still mean a lot in the NDL. So let's get those games in. And we're excited. CFP Reveal will be next Sunday again, and then after that, it'll be after the conference championship games. Just another announcement too. We will be doing a 2-day NDL draft this season. Much kind of like the NFL, we'll be doing a prime time slot with a certain amount of picks on like a Friday night, and then Saturday during the day we'll run the rest of the draft. And so it'll be a big deal. We'll have coaches on, interviews, videos, stuff like that. So we're pretty excited about that. Obviously, that was the biggest show that we did this last season, and it was the best draft that we've ever had, just engagement wise. And I thought the speed was wonderful. We were done in a day. We just kind of wanted to break it up into 2 days because it is a lot of work. And I think it'd just be kind of fun. So I think CG, the draft will be in February. I went over with Nidler on his off-season schedule. It's going to potentially be either the first or third weekend in February. I think it'll probably be the third weekend in February because we're a week ahead, but we'd have to get a whole nother week ahead to do it. And so I think it'll probably be the third weekend in February, but that'll get hammered out. We'll get an announcement out about that. But man, we really appreciate you guys tuning in, listening to us, and everything like that.
Quick pro tip: to everyone in the league there, if you don't know this already, let your significant other know in the meantime that you are prioritizing them over this game because you don't have that many games to play. And that tell them, you know what, honey, I would play a game tonight this week, but instead I'm going to focus on you. That way you build up all these good points and good brownie points for when the next season starts and make it that much less stressful to get your games in.
True. Yeah, and hey, don't forget to check out the NDL convention. It's in the Discord. There's been an announcement about it too. I think right now we have about 15 people that have committed to going, and then we have like 5 people that are maybes. It's in July. It's like the 16th, 17th, 19th. It's in Nashville. We're going to be renting a big Airbnb. It's 2 condos that are next to each other, the big backyard. All 3 of us went last year. It's a lot of fun. We do yard games. We hang out. We played poker. It'll be about 10 days after the NCAA game will get released, 2026 or 7 or whatever it is. And so that'll be really exciting. We'll be able to hit that up and stuff. And so a ton of fun, man. Again, thank you, Pat and Penguin, for spending Sunday afternoon and evening with us.
And by the way, really quick, for the NDL convention, you guys who are maybes, I don't understand how you're maybes. Just like ask your wife now. Like, don't be one of those guys in the group, please. Just stop being a maybe and commit.
Come get our autograph or tell us to our face why we're stupid. I mean, it's such a great opportunity.
In my years of life, okay, because I lived a 4-hour drive from Vegas. Every Vegas trip, there's a guy in the group. I should be able to go. Never fucking came. Ever in the history of a guy trip. I should be going. That means no.
Well, Dr. Chip, why aren't you going? I know you're in the chat, Chip. I haven't seen you in that NDL convention letting us know you're coming. I mean, who cares about practicals or fixing people's butts? Like, get there.
For giving me medical advice via DM. What a legend. I had something wrong with me a week ago, and I DM'd him. Felt terrible. I told him I'd send him a copay on Venmo.
Man, we appreciate it, guys. I'm out of here.
Later.